We're so easy to look at other people and blame other people instead of taking accountability for our own actions. It's like, if you don't like something, look in the mirror and change it, right? Because stop blaming other people. Stop living in this pity party of what life hasn't done for you or what other people. No one owes you anything. Let me repeat this. Nobody owes you anything.
I usually put together a bunch of show notes and things that I want to talk to my guests about, and I definitely have that for you. But at the same time, when we started talking before all of this started recording, I was like, wait, I have so much more to ask you. And there's so many more things to you than even I was able to uncover through doing research on you.
I'm like a fascinating human, I feel like.
Oh my gosh, it is amazing. So without further ado, who is Raquel?
Great question. That's a loaded question. I am a mother, a wife, a daughter. I'm all of those things. I'm a mother to a child with special needs. I am an inquisitive as heck person, constantly learning. I feel like you never stop learning and growing. I remember when I was like 8 years old, I said to myself, I feel like I know it all. And man, did my life change after that comment. I know nothing. Still to this day, I know nothing. But I am... That's a hard question because that's a great question, but I feel like it's so hard because people are like, who am I? I'm so many different things. I feel like I'm a very spiritual person. I feel like that's really helped me navigate some of my hardest moments in life. I'm a positive person because I feel like everything in life is your mindset, and I think that's, why I ended up doing life coaching and stuff. But I'm a risk taker. I was on The Amazing Race, there's not a lot of things that I say no to. I'm a big outdoors person. I'm an active person. I don't know. A lot of things.
One of the things that I was able to take from the conversations that we've been having is you are very fast paced and you can go from one thing to the next, but you have a complete understanding of exactly what it is that you just talked about, Yeah. And what I mean by that is we can go back and be, wait, let's talk about this again. And then you just pick right back up where we may have left off. And I think that is so powerful to have when you're able to do that, because that just makes communication so much easier and it allows you to adapt to the conversations that you're having, and you are able to follow the pace that other people are having their conversations at because you're moving 100 times quicker and you adapt, and that's going to be huge for you helping the people that you're serving through your coaching business.
Thanks for noticing that. I definitely am adaptable. I grew up as an only child with a single parent. I moved like 13 times growing up. I was in all these new schools. I had my own struggles with like fitting in and, my relationship with my dad when I was young. And I had to learn to be adaptable. And that's how I survived, And I think that, you can look at life and you can look at the hardships that you experience early on in life or through adulthood, and that can make you less of a person or it can make you better. And I think everything in life is a choice. That is one thing that we do have in the world is we have free will and we have choice. And I think it's made me a better person. I think that there was, for many years in my life, especially in my 20s, I'm 33 now, but it's like it didn't always make me a better person. And I had to really tap into those parts of myself that still needed healing. Those parts of myself, I think that were still like, had held the trauma of the shit that I went through in childhood, the anger, the resentment. I mean, just you go through hard stuff as a kid. It's not easy, and some people have harder childhoods than others, but we all have our struggles, right? But you can choose to hold on to that. You can choose to kind of, like I said, like tap into that and end up making that like your superpower in a lot of ways. And so I think adaptability has just always been like, I can, even like I grew up with like a Jewish mom and a Catholic father. So just the difference in like cultures, and the different types of personalities. It's like I'm moldable and I'm adaptable. And I think that's just part of why I've always been like a risk taker, because to me, it's like I've always had faith in myself at the end of the day. And if you have faith in yourself, then you can adapt to any situation, and I think that's part of like why being on the race, and we'll dive into this, being on the Amazing Race and stuff, but it's like, I really didn't study. I didn't, and that's probably why I ended up losing at the end. But like I came in second place, but it's like, we figured it out along the way. And I think it's part of my adaptability, that I'm able to have enough common sense of whatever situation I'm in, but I'm able to adapt enough to the situation to like be successful. And I think that's like kind of like a, one of my greatest attributes.
I'd love for you to talk more about your ability to not become a victim of circumstance, but rather to choose how you look upon the things that are put upon yourself.
Yeah, I love that question. I think that's life. I think that we are all dealt, shitty cards at times. I think that there are so many things that are out of our control and that happen to us. Like, let's talk about more about this, but like I have a son with special needs. And not only does my son have a rare genetic condition, there's one in 1,000 people in the entire world that have the condition that he has. It's called FoxG1. So it's the first and most important gene in brain development. So that's what he's missing. He doesn't have enough of. Never in a million years did I ever think my child would have such a severe condition that there's a very small chance of him ever being able to walk or talk. But at the end of the day, yes, I think everyone should allow themselves to grieve, to feel what they need to feel, because that's part of how you heal yourself. But I don't look at everything that he isn't. I look at everything that he is. And that's just how I choose to look at my life. I choose to look at my life because it's a choice. How you handle things and how you perceive things, and everything is a choice. And you can get up every day and you can look at everything that you don't have, and you can be cynical and you can be negative, and it's easy to be that way. Or you can be like, okay, you know what? I've sat through the pain, I've sat through the grief, and now it's time for me to be like, shit, what did I learn from this? How is this making me stronger? Because that pain can make you really strong, or it could break you, But again, it's what route are you going to choose? And everything's mental fortitude at the end of the day, but with him, it's like I look at everything that he is. I look at how great he is, how pure his soul is, how he's made me a better person, how he's taught me that what's invaluable in life, what matters the most. And that's everything. That was my childhood, I think I went through a lot of struggles. I cared so much what people thought about me so early on in life, and I just wanted to be liked. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be cool. And I was none of those. No one liked me, I felt like. No matter how hard I tried for people to like me, kids always bullied me and they were mean, And it's like as I get older in life, I was like, okay, I can learn to really like myself. I could really learn to love myself. I could really learn to not care what the wrong people think about me. And I think early on in my 20s, I had like my cousin, my grandma, and a really good friend of mine passed away all within 3 months. And I went through a really hard time early on in my 20s. And I was like, okay, I really need to like figure out how to get happy. And it's like this Smile podcast, Smile Talk, but it's true. Like your smile and your happiness is so invaluable, and you have to figure out in life, how do I become a happy person? And that's everyone's journey, And so it's sitting with yourself in those uncomfortable spaces. It's understanding who I am as a person, where my faults lie, like where I hold on to pain, where I need to grow. And it's like not dealing with not ignoring the bullshit that we have inside of ourselves, and like reaching within and trying to become a better person and understand ourselves. And that takes time. It's not like you just, no one gains 20 pounds overnight. You don't lose 20 pounds overnight, everything in life is a journey. It's a process. But I think for me, I just, I really dove into spirituality, I think in my 20s. And I think that was a huge pivotal turning point of understanding something that made sense for me. And it made me a better person in a lot of ways. And especially because it's like I grew up with a Jewish mom and a Catholic father. And I really had like no idea of like what religion I was. And I don't think it's necessarily you need to believe in something, but I think believing in something that's bigger than you is powerful, and it gives you purpose. And it can help you make sense of the pain sometimes in life, because at the end of the day, you can't avoid pain. Some people seem like they have easier lives than others, but at the end of the day, we all go through varying degrees of pain. We all have our own shit that we deal with, and it's just like, how can I be okay through it, And I think that that's just my life has been a culmination of dealing with pain and then becoming a better person, a stronger person, a wiser person, a happier person because of it. And I think that's kind of been my life's journey. And I think everything in my life has led me to the point where I am today, in a sense of like, you know, going through what I went through in my life, and then being on The Amazing Race, and then becoming a life coach because of it, and then having a child with special needs, and then being able to be like, hey, I'm going through this really awful situation, but I could still be happy, you know? And it's like, I thank God every day that he chose for me to be his mom, because I can show the world that you can still be fucking happy, excuse my language, that you can still be whole, you can still wake up every day and be grateful, and like, and you can have a kid with a severe disability, and like that doesn't need to take away your happiness and your joy in life. You know, you can be all of those things and still go through hard shit and still come out ahead. So you know, like gives me chills, but it's like, it's just so true. You know, it's like in so many ways, never thought I'd be in this situation, but like, damn, I'm like living proof every day that like no matter what you go through, you can always be happy, you can always be okay, and that's a choice that you make every single day. It's a cognitive choice that you make every day.
And I want to emphasize something that you said, and that was the fact that everyone's going through their own sense of pain. And whether that is physical or whether it's emotional, like it does not need to only be seen through the eyes, but it is something that we feel. Every bit of what people are going through right now, more times than not, seems to be dealing with mental health. And because of that, it's not something that can be seen, but it's also, I'd imagine, and in this case, it's kind of a question, that that is something that needs to be worked on, because understanding who you are, what you need to be happy, coming to terms with what you may need to, is all a part of a journey itself, which I guess more so leads me to this question for you. And that is like, you have been able to do all of that for yourself, but how?
Yeah, how did I get to like have this like level of like peace and contentment, you're saying? Or how did I become like the person I am?
Because was there someone that brought you through the journey that helped you facilitate it? Or did you have a coach? Or did you just kind of do the research that you needed to get yourself to where you are today?
You know, I think part of that was, you know, even though my mom was Jewish, I think there was always a spiritual element of my mom. And so I think naturally there was a spiritual element in myself. But I think a lot of stuff I just learned on my own. You know, I think life was just, you know, I've been my own teacher in a lot of ways. And through that, I think a lot of different like authors and good books and have led me and helped me along the way. You know, it's not just me, but it's like, you know, the books I read, I started immersing myself in like audiobooks and reading different things, and taking like, I don't know, when I lived in Chicago, like going to like spiritual centers and things like that, and taking different like meditation classes and watching different like YouTube videos and just engaging with like-minded people around me. And I guess all of those people kind of, but I think a lot of the stuff I just did on my own. I think part of it was just my inquisitiveness and I've always tried to understand people around me. I've always found human nature to be very intriguing and very strange at the same time. I don't think Earth by any means is an easy place to live. I do believe that there have to be other forms of life somewhere. Like there's no way the Earth is the only place. But I'm like, please, dear God, make other places easier to live than Earth, because this place ain't easy at all, you know? But I really just think I like got to a point where I was like, okay, I have to learn to be happier than this, because, you know, I never really was depressed, but I don't think I was happy for a long time in my life. And I was so introverted for so many years of my life that I like finally, as I got older and was in my 20s, like I started coming into myself and like breaking out of that shell. And now I'm like totally not an introverted person. No one believes me when I say I used to be introverted. But I definitely recharge my batteries being alone, but I'm definitely an extroverted person now. But I think it's just there's so many resources available at our fingertips these days. So if you want to change, there are so many different avenues that give you room to explore and figure out, okay, how do you change, right? Like there's the internet these days, and it's like everything's on our computer and on our cell phones. So you have to go after it. I mean, the thing is we're so easy to look at other people and blame other people instead of taking accountability for our own actions. It's like, if you don't like something, look in the mirror and change it, right? Because stop blaming other people. Stop living in this pity party of what life hasn't done for you or what other people. No one owes you anything. Let me repeat this. Nobody owes you anything. Yeah, of course, like you want love from your parents and this and that. But outside of that, no one really owes you shit. You got to figure it out on your own in life, and when you start taking that accountability for yourself and when you start just being like, okay, I have the most important relationship you'll ever have is the relationship you have with yourself. So when you start having that good relationship and you can then, when you really start respecting yourself and learning to love yourself and like honoring yourself and wanting better things for yourself, I think it allows you to kind of explore what else is out there, because everyone like has to get better at something. Everyone struggles with something, no one's like this whole perfect person, right? But there's always an avenue and an outlet to be able to figure out how to be better. Or like you get a life coach, or you get a therapist, or you surround yourself with more like-minded people by joining groups. I think that people get so overwhelmed they don't know where to begin sometimes, and I think that's just anxiety, and I get that. I think anxiety hits everybody in different ways at different times and in different severities, but it's like, if you want to change, if you don't like who you are or you want to get better at something, there are 1,000 avenues. You just need to go after it. And that's anything in life. No one amounts to success by just sitting there and doing nothing, right? You have to work hard for things. You have to go after it. You have to think outside the box. And birds of a feather flock together. I think it's important to surround yourself with, good people if you're not happy with, the people you're surrounding yourself with now, or they're not making you better, they don't understand you, or they don't, anyways, that's my soapbox.
Yes. Well, one of the things that I'm so happy that you mentioned was the fact that you went out and took it upon yourself to find ways and avenues to get you to a point of becoming more comfortable with yourself and building a stronger relationship with yourself. Because although technology and the internet is out there, there's that, cliche saying, it's like, oh, well, there's an app for that. And, like you think about it, yes, I'm sure there are very good things and applications and things on the internet that you can do to build a stronger relationship with yourself. But it's like, are you going to stick to maybe that product or that application to the extent that it was built for? Or are you going to say, maybe this isn't working in the way that I wanted it to, so I'm going to cut it? Well, maybe you cut it too short and didn't have time to develop in the way that it needed to, which is why I love you talking about the human connection aspect to it, because that brings a sense of community. And when you have a sense of community in regards to the flock, that is what is ultimately going to bring some level of accountability. And bring you to understanding that you may not be in this and you're not in this alone, but rather people are going through something similar, even if it's not the same exact thing.
Yeah, everyone's going through something. And I think that just makes us realize that we're all humans. I think that the problem with social media these days is it paints this facade of what you think a person's life looks like. I think comparison is the thief of joy in a lot of ways. And I think we just naturally want to compare when we're looking at, this person's life on social media, and they're like, they have the body, they have the house, they have the kids, they have, but it's like, take that with a grain of salt, because no one knows what's going on in people's lives behind closed doors, or no one knows what pain everyone's going through, or no one knows, right? Like, you're not in somebody else's shoes, so we don't know. We just paint this picture and we think that, it's all fine and dandy, but, maybe inside it's an absolute disaster, and you never want to be in that situation, right? People are getting paid to make their lives look a certain way. So take that with a grain of salt, and also just don't compare, because at the end of the day, who gives a shit what this other person has? It doesn't matter. It's not going to change your life. If it's not making you a better person, if it's not bringing you joy, then stop doing it, but I think that it can. But I think, like you were saying, community is so important, because at the end of the day, it's like, I think that's why we struggled so much during COVID, is because we were so like disattached. And I think it's so important to have the right people around you, and sometimes you have to reevaluate and you have to clean house. And I think that it can especially happen at certain points in our life. It's like we might have been friends with these people since high school or college and stuff, but as you get older, you grow out apart from them. Or maybe you've been friends with this person for 15 years and you're 50 years old and that person doesn't have your back or isn't good for you. It doesn't matter what age you are. Sometimes you just have to clean house and you have to realize, is this a relationship that's making me better, that's making me happy? Does this person really, have my best interest at heart? And it's hard sometimes to walk away from certain relationships, but your happiness and all of that matters more than anything. And so sometimes you have to create boundaries for yourself and protect your space and your happiness, and find people that are similar to you. But I think it's hard sometimes. I mean, like I moved here last year from Chicago, and finding a sense of, community and friends at 33 seems like it could be a difficult task at times. But I think when you just put yourself out there, you can find it. I feel like I've made like some great friends since I've been here. And it's important to have, friends around you. It's important to have, good people around you. And hopefully that's your family. But not everyone is lucky that they have a family that they're close to, and your friends can be your family. But I just think it's really important to be with people that understand, support, and love you.
Where do you start with people who maybe don't know exactly why they may not be as happy as they should, or don't know if what they're feeling is normal?
That's a great question. I always think that you have to trust your instincts. I think you have to understand the root of, well, why am I not happy? I think you have to dig deep with a lot of things. And I think some answers will come quickly. And some answers I think you really need to sit with. I think if people aren't happy, you have to say, well, what is it that you feel like isn't making you happy? What are you missing out on? What does happiness look like to you? Some people I think have a jaded perspective of what's realistic. And I think expectations are a huge thing that I talk about with my clients, just because I think that sometimes in life we have unrealistic expectations of things, and people say, oh, well, if I have this, or I have this much money, or I drive this car, then I'm happy. And it's like, no. I bought my car off of my grandpa who passed away, and I have one car that's nice, and I drive this car too, and it's a 17-year-old Toyota Camry. And that thing, every time I drive it, it was my grandpa's, that thing makes me happy. I don't need to be in like a Mercedes-Benz to be happy. If I can be happy in this Camry, then I'm going to really damn appreciate the Mercedes-Benz that I'm driving, kind of thing. Like to me, it's like you have to find happiness with whatever you have. You have to find happiness in the body that you have today, not just the body that's 40 pounds lighter than what you are now. You might really love the way you look then. And sure, being healthier might make you happier in ways. Having a better body could make you happier, but you still have to be happy with who you are today in order to get to that place. You can't think that, oh, if I get to that place, then that's happiness. You have to learn to be happy with what you are in this moment, what you have. And I think that it just really comes down to reflecting on, well, what is happiness? What does happiness look like for you? And sometimes stripping away all of the modern day luxuries that we think are happiness, and going back to like, does this stem from a place of love? Because to me, like happiness is like, it's simple, it's pure in a lot of ways. It's love. It's don't overcomplicate happiness. It doesn't mean that you can't strive to have nice things, like by all and every means. If you want nice things, damn, go after that thing. But don't mitigate and don't get the idea of happiness lost because you're stuck in what could be. You're stuck in the future. I always say it's so important. Make peace with your past. Don't overstress about your future, because all we have is today. So the present moment is so important, and it's so impactful, and it's so powerful that learn to be happy in the now. And you're doing better than 50% of people out there, at least, because I think we get so caught up in either not making peace, getting upset with our past. It's like, move on. That happened. Live and learn. How can you grow from that? And then our future, nothing's guaranteed. I mean, God, life is so fragile. No one knows what tomorrow holds. No one knows what 15 years, 5 days looks like.
Literally.
So just like live in now, and figure out like what makes you happy. And sometimes people have a hard idea of figuring out what happiness is. So maybe it's like you need to figure out who can be within your network or community that can help you figure out what happiness is. If you're struggling on figuring that out yourself. I mean, seek a professional sometimes. It's good to get an opinion from somebody else who does it for a living, or just people you trust,
I'd imagine that one of your most profound skills is the ability to organize thoughts. I can tell that you are able to organize your thoughts very quickly, which I'd imagine translates to understanding the appropriate questions that need to be asked to help other people with and on their life's journey. So if someone were to want to partner together with you being their life coach, where do you want them to go? How do they get in touch with you? How do they start that journey with you?
Two different ways, I think. So my website is theraquelmoore.com, or I have an Instagram. It's at Raquel Moore _, and then that will also link you to my website. Please reach out to me. I think so many people, I think this is, ask me like, well, what's the difference between like a therapist and a life coach? Like, why would I need, a life coach? And it's like, to me, a lot of times when people are going to a therapist, I will always say, like, I am not a licensed, trained health professional. I don't deal with like people with severe depression and anxiety. Yes, of course, my clients, everyone has like maybe some degree. We're all dealing with something, right? Some degree of something. But like, I don't diagnose people. I just deal with people who are looking to become the best versions of themselves. People who are looking to set goals for themselves. People who are looking to achieve certain things and either don't know the path how to do it, could either have somebody that can help them more easily navigate, instead of taking the roundabout way, they can take the clear-cut path and get there quicker. Or some people just need some guidance, that's what I love so much about life coaching is, I don't deal necessarily with like, and yes, with a lot of my clients, we do deal with like, like childhood stuff, life stuff, marriage related things, because that's understanding how people can achieve those goals is by working through those things. But I'm just not necessarily dealing with like the heavy stuff that therapists are dealing with, right? But I kind of feel like I get the best of both worlds because I can still help people, and I'm still like seeing people achieve these like amazing things and changing in front of my eyes. And I've had the same clients for like a couple years and I just have seen them grow so much. And I'm like, damn, I'm proud of you.
Yes.
And they're like, well, you did this. I'm like, no, you did this. I'm just here guiding you. But at the end of the day, you're the one that's putting in the work, you're the one that's day in and day out is making those changes. You're the one that's becoming consciously aware of yourself and your actions and your thoughts, and you've achieved what you have today. But it's really rewarding.
And I love the fact that you are working within a group of people that span from an array of sometimes struggling and needing something, but then also those that just want to become the best versions of themselves.
Totally.
This is not just for someone that says like, oh, I'm not happy, or I don't know what's going on, or I need guidance because, I feel sad. But this is also like, hey, I feel good about myself, but I feel like I could be doing more. And I just want to know who I can talk to know the things that I should consider. Like, you are also talking to those that are just aware enough to be able to ask themselves the question, how can I become a better version of myself? Yeah.
And you know what? Like some of my clients are like very successful entrepreneurs, CEOs of companies. And and on paper, they might look great, might look totally fine and great and successful, but they might have a really bad day where it's like they're having, struggles with their significant others, or they're having some communication issues in the workplace. Like, nobody's life is ever perfect. We're all gonna have struggles at times. We're all gonna, hit a plateau in our lives at times. And it's just having that guidance, that support, and also having like a different set of eyes and ears for different introspection, and to just somebody to like be like, okay, this is what's going on, let's tackle this and let's have a game plan together. And it just helps, it's especially too, with my clients, it's like I get to understand them so well, and we build such a deep relationship that it's really wonderful when I can really like make a connection with each person, because I think that's like something I'm really good at in life is like understanding people and understanding, because I think I just when I moved so much growing up and I had so many different types of like different people in my life, I just understand people. It's like, I don't know if it's like my own sense of like intuition. I get people really well, but I understand so many different types of personalities. So I feel like with my job, I can help so many different types of people. I feel like my clients are all so different, and it's such different. Like, I have so many clients that are double my age, and people are like, it's so funny that like you have like 60-year-old clients that are like asking for your help. And I'm like, I think it's great. Like, I appreciate the fact that they trust me, I have kids in high school, and then I have people that are like retiring, know, and everything in between. But it's super rewarding. And, I mean, I've had life coaches, I've had therapists in the past. I think that having that support system of somebody that can, that can just help you and put things in different perspective, and somebody that knows what the hell they're talking about could just be really beneficial.
What does a relationship or a partnership look like with you? Is that in person? Is it virtual? Is it meeting on a weekly basis, a monthly basis? Is there, pre-work? Is there post-work? Is there tracking? How does all of that work when you are working with your clients?
Yeah, I love that. It's all of those things. It just really depends on the person. Like, I have some people I meet with weekly, and I've met with them weekly for years. I have some people I meet with once a month, and if they feel like they need me, a couple times a month, then we meet a couple times a month. Most of my clients are virtual, but I have some clients that are in the Cleveland area, as long as it's, drivable, right? But like I said, like most of my clients are virtual. And then, I mean, sometimes like I'll go 6 months without even talking to my clients. And they'll be like, okay, like I'm going through this rough patch. Let's do another month together, or let's do a couple months together. And then they don't need me, right? It's kind of just, it's whatever works for you. I don't think there's one necessarily set scenario. Yes, if I'm initially working with somebody, then I'm going to do at least a month package with somebody. So it's like a month package is just, we meet once a week for a month, or if you need to space it out, I'm flexible. I mean, it's whatever works for somebody and what works for their schedule, because it takes time to make changes. It takes time to really understand what is going on, the root causes of things, and just to implement those changes. I mean, that takes time, and to really like see that through. But I also offer like 90-minute sessions for people that are just like, hey, I'm struggling with this, or like, I just need this goal. How do I achieve this particular goal? And then we do one 90-minute session. Then they come back to me in a couple weeks. They're like, damn, that worked. And it's like, great. That's why I do what I do, It's
one of my favorite things to go over when I'm talking to someone that partners with people, because I think it's so important to be able to set proper expectations. It allows people to break down their wall. It allows them to be more willing to accept. And it is something that they will ultimately just appreciate, and it builds trust. So the fact that you are able to do that with each and every one of the people that ultimately learn to trust you enough is it's incredible. And I can tell just based off the conversations that we've had today, you are 100% going to be successful in your efforts toward this, because you do have the ability to connect to a plethora of people that are on all different levels. And I know that, I don't know how you would categorize me, but like, I feel like we're connecting well.
Yeah, totally.
That is, it's truly a skill that I want you to know as someone that's like outside looking in, like that's a wonderful skill to have. It's a powerful skill to have.
Yeah. I feel like it's, like one of the reasons I was put on earth, I get people, I'm good at working with people. I think that's probably why I had like the upbringing and the childhood I did, to make me even more like moldable and adaptable and understand so many different types of people. And at the end of the day, like, I think gratitude is so powerful, and I am so grateful for every single person that contacts me, because you want to better your life, or you want to better who you are. You want to be the best version of yourself. So I give you all the credit in the world. And two, like you're reaching out and you're taking a risk, and you are, it's being very vulnerable, and I applaud people that put themselves in vulnerable positions, because human nature, we don't want to be vulnerable. It's not in our blood. It's not in our DNA, but they're doing it, and they're doing the work, and they actively are working on themselves. And so it's like, I give them so much credit. And I really like, I work with such amazing people, and I feel so lucky to be able to do what I do. It's pretty badass.
Yeah. And our paths have crossed, in which you are primarily doing your life coaching. But before this, you've had a bunch of other careers
Oh my God. My life is so weird. I'm literally like, no one would believe my resume.
I'm like trying to figure out where to like drop the pin and what to talk about, but I like don't even know where to start. So can I give it off to you to determine?
Yeah. I'll take the reins on this one. Yes, pass the mic. Yeah, so I went to college, okay, like most people, had no idea what the hell I wanted to do with my life. It's like all of a sudden you spend like all this money in college and they're like, what do you want to do with your life? And like, I don't know, I'm just existing half the time, you know? So my mom was like, you should be like a broadcast journalist. And I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah, I feel like you'd be so good like on TV and like interviewing people. And like, mind you, I have ADHD. So half the time I'm like, you know, when I was younger, I really had to like learn to listen to people better, but I didn't for so long. Like, I remember like just interviewing people and asking them questions, and then I'd already have my next question instead of listening actively. Active listening is so big, and it's something I really had to learn the hard way in life. But so, I mean, I did it for like, I had like 6 internships in college. All of these, I was in Chicago, went to DePaul, with all of these like major networks, sports networks, always grew up like a huge sports person. So I started off like CBS in Rockford, Illinois. Then I went to the Big Ten Network, and I was like doing my thing in journalism.
You were in Rockford, Illinois?
Yeah.
Do you know Austin Love?
No.
No? Okay, check out one of the previous episodes that we had. He's at WKYC right now here in Cleveland. But he grew up in Rockford, Illinois.
Oh, no way. Did he start off in a TV station in Rockford?
I believe so.
Oh, that's too funny.
I believe so. I'm trying to remember back. I can't be 100% certain. But yeah, literally the screw capital of the world.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. I'll look him up. That's great. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We did the whole one-man band thing in Rockford. I mean, it was the toughest job I've ever done in my life, because if you can figure out what story you're going to report on, you go into the station in the morning, let me paint you this picture, and you have no idea what the hell you're going to report on. You have to reach out to all these people, and hopefully one of them lands and they're willing to be on camera, because a lot of people don't want to be on camera. That's why people end up in poor neighborhoods, because those people are willing to be on camera. That's why they end up doing those stories a lot of time, because wealthier people don't want to be in camera. More educated people half the time don't want to be in camera. It's low education, more poverty-ridden areas, because they want to be heard. They want to have a voice. So that's why half the time, you know, you end up doing like, you know, going to stories in low-income areas because those people are willing to talk to you, you know, or it's like it's so fucked up, but if it bleeds, it leads, right? Like you want to have like gruesome shit always makes the news, right? But I think I really struggled with that job because I felt like I was prying in people's lives in the wrong way. Like I remember it was Thanksgiving morning and someone's house went up in flames and they lost everything. They lost all their animals inside their house and they're standing outside of their house, and I'm filming all this and they're hysterically crying. So they're watching everything they love just completely gone in front of their eyes. And my manager calls me up and he's like, stick the mic in their face and start an interview. And I was like, I can't do that. This guy's hysterically crying. His wife's bawling. And they're like, I don't care. This is your job. It's what you have to do. Mind you, I just got like in trouble for like speeding, following the fire truck to get to the story. So the cop pulls me over and like I'm all frantic, and he's like, do you know that he like comes up to me with his like, you know, hands on his belt and his aviator glasses. He's like, do you know what you just did? I could arrest you for this. And I was like, I had to follow the lead on this story. Yeah. So like I get there and like the guy's bawling and I'm trying to interview this guy, and then I just got yelled at by the cop, and sorry, I'm totally going off page with this, but like, so I'm sticking the mic in this guy's face. I'm asking him questions. He's yelling at me. He's shoving the camera. And I just felt like I was intruding on people's lives. Like I feel like there's just so much like about news that really just didn't make me happy working like in actual news. Although like I love like the kind of the glitz and the glam of being on camera. Like it's fun. You get like an adrenaline rush. Like it is really truly like the hardest job, because there's just so many different, especially like in small news stations, one-man band reporting, it's like you have so many different jobs that you have to do. You're the you know, the photog, the writer, the editor, the on-air person. You have to look a certain way by 5 o'clock, even though you've been running around like a, you know, like a dog all day. But I eventually got out of news because I just felt like I was exploiting people and I didn't feel like I was being true to myself. So then I ended up working in sports. So I was like doing sports journalism, doing some stuff on air, doing some stuff behind the camera. And I think it was a combination of, I really, truly, at the end of the day, like I didn't enjoy being on camera as much. And I think that there was so much I had to learn about myself at such a young age that if you don't love the person you are and you don't have the amount of confidence that you need, then I think you're going to fail in TV, because you really have to be confident. You really have to like fake it till you make it kind of thing. You really have to believe your shit. You're selling yourself at the end of the day, and you have to believe in that. And I just didn't. I had to really grow into the person that I am today. It took me a long time to be this person. I feel like Raquel today could do journalism, but like I was too insecure. I let people walk all over me. I didn't have enough confidence, and it ate me alive in a lot of ways. I never thought I was enough. I didn't think I was pretty enough, smart enough, and that's part of the reason why I had to really dive into, okay, well, I don't think I'm really happy. I'm not living up to my fullest potential. I really had to sit in that space. So I left the world of TV and I went to do like some sales roles, and while I was like mixing in, like still doing some like odds and ends stuff on air. And I wasn't happy, and I took like a year off work and I traveled. Nice. And I was like, I don't know what the hell I want to do with my life. And I know this is so untraditional and this isn't going to look good on a resume, but I was like, at the end of the day, I'm living life for me. And so as I was like traveling and stuff, my aunt who worked for American Airlines for like 40 years, she's like, why don't you become a flight attendant while you're like, you can travel for free and like figure it out. And I was like, okay. So I guess I just never was really like, as I was learning and growing and figuring out who I was in life and what I wanted to be, I became a flight attendant, and it was a great job for a while, because for me it was like I was meeting so many different people, and it was so fun, and I was single and I didn't have a kid, and like I had none of the real life responsibilities I have now, and I got to travel the world, and I got to like also like just discover who I was too, and I thought it was a lot of fun, and you had a lot of freedom with that job. But then, they asked me to be on The Amazing Race. They like randomly reached out to me on my social media. And I think at like the time I maybe had like 150 followers. Like I wasn't big into social media. Never really, actually, I'm pretty terrible at it half the time, I feel like. And they asked me to be on the race. And I was like, well, what the hell's The Amazing Race? I've never watched this. And I thought it was a total joke. Like someone had like sent me a DM or something like this. And so I'm like looking up what The Amazing Race is. And I was like, I don't know, this kind of feels like this could be cool. Why not? Sure. So then like I reached back out to the guy, and then next thing you know, I'm on The Amazing Race. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I've definitely had some like interesting jobs. People are like, why the hell did you leave news to then become a flight attendant? And I was like, because I wasn't happy. Yeah. And at the end of the day, like if you're not happy with something, then like leave, take a risk. What's the worst thing that can happen? It doesn't work out, and you figure out either what you like or what you don't like. But yeah.
So I've always been more of a Survivor person or like a Bachelor person. Can you explain to me, because I've never watched it, what The Amazing Race is and was?
Yes. So the concept of The Amazing Race is you compete for $1 million and you race around the world. Like you literally race like. So my season was a little bit different because COVID had hit, but so we didn't go to as many country hopping places as you usually do. Like you're hitting like multiple continents when you're on the race, and you're doing like different sets of challenges, and you have a teammate. So you're doing everything with a teammate, but there's 12 teams, and at the very end, one person wins and you win the $1 million. Although I joke because the show's been on air for like 20 something years and it's always been $1 million. And I'm like, dude, inflation's really like steep now. I'm like, that shit should be $2.5 million. I'm like watching Squid Games. That's $4.5 million. I'm like, dude, they're cheaping out.
Yes.
I'm like, $1 million ain't nothing after taxes.
Literally.
But it's cool because it's like you just do these crazy challenges. They're either like memory based, they're physical, or they're like these intricate challenges. And then like you just don't want to be, so for the, let's say there's obviously like 11 legs. So for the first 10 legs, as long as you're not last, you keep advancing. Okay. That's how it works. You're just competing against all these other teams, never knowing what position they're in. You never know when you're at the final leg of the race, like if you're in last place, if you're in first place, like everything's kind of a surprise. Everything's like you're sitting at the edge of your seat the whole time. But it's super challenging. It's super stressful. I mean, it's designed to mentally and physically just wear you out. But it's cool. I'm like always down for a challenge, because like that's the only way you grow is like by taking yourself out of your comfort zone. Like the one way to really make a person grow and to challenge a person is like by doing something that's completely unexpected, that's scary, right? Because you can learn a lot from it. But it was a really cool experience, and I feel really lucky, and I have no idea why the hell they asked me to be on the show, but I mean, shit, maybe it was meant to be.
So what season was it?
It was season 33. So it aired wait, I'm trying to think. It aired I think it was 2 years ago it aired. I literally lose track of time. I have no idea. I'm like, okay, my kid's 15 months and it aired while I was pregnant. So it must have been 2 years ago.
What was it like watching yourself back?
oh my God, I hate watching myself on air. It's like terrible. Are you kidding me? I'm like, thank God I wasn't on The Bachelor. Years ago, they like asked me if I wanted to be on The Bachelor.
You got asked before or after you got asked?
I was dating somebody. No, someone had reached out to me. I mean, this must have been like 8 years ago to be on The Bachelor, but I was dating somebody at the time. And I was like, thank God, because I probably would have looked like a mess. Like, I very much like yes, I would have been fine 8 years ago, but like, I was just a lot younger, you know? I was a lot messier 8 years ago than I am today. You know, I probably like would have rubbed people the wrong way 8 years ago. Still today, I probably rub people the wrong way. But yeah, I never ended up being on that. I mean, that wasn't like a final, like, you're going to be on The Bachelor. It was like an initial phone call from Beverly Hills being like, do you want to be on The Bachelor? And I was like, I'm dating someone and I really like them at the time. So no.
How did they get your name?
I don't know. It's a good question. I have no idea.
The producers are just attracted to you. Maybe that's how they found
out about me from The Amazing Race. Maybe there's just a pile of like has-been potentials for reality TV, and then they put me back in the bag of things. And I'm like, well, this girl looks like she'd be interesting on TV. Who knows? That's so funny. But I feel like that show would be great to be on. I feel like everyone that's on that show, I'm like, as long as you're not the crazy person, I'm like, you could legit make a life out of this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Or do you watch it?
The Bachelor,
yes.
Of course.
Okay, so I've taken like a break over the last couple of years. But
Same. I feel like the last couple seasons I have because I kind of got tired of the people they picked.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was Hannah B, but it was the one that like Grocery Store Joe was on.
Hannah B, I think.
And like literally he was voted out night one, and in some strange series of events, I don't know if something happened between them, but he was brought on to Paradise. And like all of a sudden he became one of the most popular people, but he was voted out night one. So it was just kind of like the mystery of, how does he get out night one? But is that was enough to spark him to be on Bachelor? Like, I just don't get it, but it's fascinating.
So two funny stories. So the gym I used to go to in Chicago, Grocery Store Joe, used to go to that gym. And he just kind of seems like a box of rocks to me a little bit. Maybe he's not. I'm totally this is totally judgmental. But I'd always be like, it's fascinating. It's Grocery Store Joe, look at you. And then my ex was on The Bachelor.
No.
And I remember, it's hilarious. I remember him being on the show and being like, oh, this guy's a mess. I wonder what he's going to be like on The Bachelor. He gets voted out night one, and they totally or maybe night two. It was very early on, and I won't say his name. But I was like, definitely did not give a good impression. And I was like, okay, good job, Raquel. It's not like you want them to fail, but it's just funny.
Yes. I'm fine doing this and being on this camera, and I like posting clips, but like, I don't necessarily like, and I'd be fine on the show. I'd stir stuff up. I would love being on the show. Yes.
I was going to say, I felt like you look like you're Italian. I'm Italian. I'm like, but you stir shit up.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like, there were so many instances in like college where, I studied abroad and we were in this common area. So then I go over to a friend and I whisper over to them. I go, I don't think that you know this, but so-and-so across the room has a secret that they're not sharing with anyone. And then they went over to that person. They were like, what are you talking about? And all of a sudden, there was this big conspiracy in regards to someone holding a secret. And all it was me saying that someone had a secret when there was no secret at all.
Oh my God, that's so good.
And I would so do that. But I think I would do it in a not a villain sense, but rather like a Jim Halpert on The Office. I would bring the camera look, and they would include it and they couldn't not have me on the show. And any woman that was on there, they would have to say, do not vote Jacob out because he is single-handedly holding up the ratings for this entire season.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Jim Halpert. Oh my God, that's great. It's one of my favorite characters of all time. Fantastic. He's also really hot now. That's funny. Yeah, no, it's just entertaining Bachelor. I feel like it's gone downhill in the sense of like, I feel like everyone's trying to get like their 15 seconds of fame now. Yes. I don't feel like everyone's genuinely like, if you're 23 years old, do you really want to find love? You're really ready to settle down and find your person. Like, why can't there be like a Bachelor for like people in their 30s, Like you're much more like apt to wanting to find something serious when you're 33 versus
22, 23.
Exactly. 21, But it is a totally entertaining show, and Bachelor in Paradise is so entertaining, and I recommend it to anyone who likes crap TV because it is fantastic. And people do find love on the show, though. I mean, there are some like legit couples. Yeah. But it's just, did you watch Bachelor in Paradise this year?
No.
God, you need to. This girl is nuts. It's so good. It's really good this season.
No, it's something that I've taken a little bit of a break from, mostly just because ever since I moved out to Crocker, I'm not like at home to watch it with like my mom and my brother and my sister, because it was like a whole event. You know, it's like we'd go out to dinner and then we'd come back and then we'd just like watch the show.
Yeah. What about your dad? Does he watch it?
So it's funny. He will go ahead and watch like the first 10 minutes and then he'll go back into like his office and do some work, and then all of a sudden he'll come out and say, "Did y'all see what just happened?"
No.
And because he has it playing on his little iPad through the TV that it's playing
So
through.
he's watching even when you don't think he's watching.
Yes,
Oh, that's good.
But it's so funny because he would like literally walk away from watching. He's like, "This is so stupid."
And
but
then he can't help it.
And then he's got to turn it back on at the office because he can't miss that.
Yeah, my husband watches it with me. I'm like, I have a great husband. He's man enough to be like, I watch The Bachelor. I'm like, yeah, because it's great TV.
What did you think about this season of The Golden Bachelor?
I only watched like a couple episodes and like maybe like 40 minutes most in each episode. I mean, I think it's like, I can understand how people can be like, it's kind of boring. I think he's adorable. I think he was so sweet and so genuine. I have no idea who he ended up with. I actually should call my mom after this and ask her, because I remember her being like, I think the finale's tonight. But I love the idea. I mean, I think everyone deserves love, you know? And I think these people have like legitimate reasons for deserving love, you know, not saying that you're 22, you don't deserve love. But I mean, these people have either like lost their significant others or been through divorce, and you're, you know, I mean, at a later stage of your life and you just want to spend it with somebody, you know, you're more in the retirement years. And I think it's cute. It's not necessarily like, you know, my favorite Bachelor I've seen, but I love the idea of it. And I love the fact that it's catering to different people and different audiences and different stages of life. And it's there's a lot more at stake, I feel like, at his age versus being 22, you know? What'd you think?
Well, I didn't watch it. So aside from some of the clips that I saw just circling through TikTok, I was kind of like, there wasn't enough drama in this season.
Not enough. No, these people aren't dramatic. Well, there's a couple people I saw that where I was like, okay, this one's crazy.
I need the petty stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
like honestly, like as silly and ridiculous as it is, I need that. And I think that they know that. And that's why it's like, you know, that's why they bring on the 23-year-olds and the 22-year-olds.
Yes.
So I'm excited to get back into it once they probably more so bring stuff back into what it is. But I think that you're so right. People are looking for their 15 seconds or 50 minutes of fame because they've seen the people that have been able to capitalize on it within the show. But I'll argue that I think that there was like a golden period to do that. Like interest was high. People were watching.
Several
and then also like you could maybe have one of like the most like perfect people to be in a position to capitalize it. But if they don't have a group of people around them that are either adding fuel to the fire or being that villain or being that support, like there needs to be honestly like a perfect season of anything is not just because one person. It's usually because of a majority or a big amount of the cast.
Yeah, totally.
There.
Yeah. Oh God, you have to like love the villains at the end of the day. You know, I mean, sometimes I like wonder. I'm like, is this person for real? You know, they can be like so off the deep end. Yeah. But that's what makes it so good. No one wants like a show where everyone's like getting along. I remember like in college, I took acting classes to like get myself out of my shell. And again, there's like the taking risks and trying new things kind of thing.
Good for you. I would not have had the.
I had to because I still feel like I needed to come out of my shell. And if I was going to be in front of a camera, then I needed to learn to like be okay with being uncomfortable, you know, because that's what a lot of it can be, awkward and uncomfortable. But like, you know, the whole premise of like when you're like acting, when you're in movies, it's because it's like something out of the norm, right? There's something unexpected. Like, and that's what you need for like TV to be successful. It has to be like something, just like someone that's just crazy or someone that's just over dramatic. And like you yearn for that drama, you know? I think that's why like the Kardashians are so successful in so many ways, because they like do have so much just like, they're so over dramatic in ways, or I'm still trying to understand half the time. I feel like why the Kardashians are so successful, but they're geniuses. Whatever they're doing something right, you know?
Yes.
But yeah, reality TV's. I wasn't always a big reality TV person other than The Bachelor, but as I've gone older, I'm like, I love the crap TV. Yeah. It's so good.
Was there anything that you saw or really noticed or came to the full understanding of as you were participating within the reality show?
You know, I definitely did. I think that I think out of all the reality shows, and I feel like this is kind of more well known, but in people that work in reality TV, The Amazing Race is one of the more like tried and true. They really don't try to like make you anything that you're not.
Okay.
I feel like it's not necessarily like The Bachelor where you can paint somebody in the wrong way. I feel like they are, for the most part, very spot on with everyone's personalities and just really highlighting how you act on the show and not dramatizing it. But I do think that it's easy to get on in front of a camera and all of a sudden something happens to a person where there's a camera in your face and like it can alter your personality. It can change you in ways. It could make you want to be more of that villain, or can make you be that person that wants more of that spotlight, or is willing to like, have the biggest balls in the room and say some stuff that's like, whoa, I mean, I think it totally can change people. And I think you can, like, especially like being on a reality show, you can adapt to being this certain person, and I think you can lose yourself in it. I think it's easy to, but I think for me, it was so important that I just wanted to be who I was off camera. I wanted to be like as tried and true to myself. And I think part of that is just, I was on the show a couple years ago, so I was a little bit older, and I knew who I was more. And I think it just took me many years to figure out who I was. And I'm still learning and trying to figure out who I am. I mean, it's always adapting and changing, and life is going to throw curveballs my way, and I'm going to have to, figure out who I am once more. But I think it was just really important that, and I think that's why my life coaching business spawned from it, because I knew who I was. And I think people saw that and they recognized the fact that no matter how stressful things were, I was able to like keep my, my composure. I was able to remain calm. I always had the right mindset. And people saw that. They saw me for who I am. I think that, every human being has some level of intuition, and we can read when someone's being genuine or disingenuine. We all have a bullshit barometer within us, and we all are somewhat innately intuitive. Some people are tapped into that more than others, but like, when someone's full of shit, and like, that's just like, that's a gift we all have, So I think that people just saw the fact that like Kayla and I, we got along so well on the show. I wanted to make sure that like it didn't create any unnecessary drama, because you can. I mean, you're in really high stake, high pressure situations, and it can make you a very negative version of yourself. But I made sure that I was in control of the game as much as I could be, instead of the game being in control of me, and the same thing can be said for life. Life can take control of you, or you can kind of take control of the best you can. So it's kind of synonymous.
Yeah. Gosh, the whole time that we've been talking, it's been so wonderful to hear the passion behind the words that you're speaking. And with that, it kind of comes to my favorite question, and that's, what makes Raquel smile?
What makes me smile? Oh my God, my son, he's the cutest thing ever. He has like the most infectious laugh and smile these days. And this is like a new thing just within the last couple of months. Like, and he's ticklish now. And he never used to be ticklish. It's so good. So that makes me smile. My husband does, because he's the funniest person I ever met. And it drives me nuts that he's funnier than me sometimes. But it makes me funnier,
True. And shout out for him. He was a big reason why you came on here.
He told me about you. He's the one that introduced, me to your podcast and stuff. So he's a reason for a lot of really wonderful things in my life. But I think just the simple things in life, like the people I love being healthy and happy, just the simple things in life make me smile a lot now. Going for a walk, being outside in Mother Nature, eating good food. Not saying that I'm necessarily like a foodie, but I definitely like appreciate a good meal. A lot of things, binge watching a TV show, kicking my feet up on the couch, doing something that's adventurous, having, spending time with people I love, connecting to myself, like being on this podcast makes me smile. I mean, this is great. It's like, I love the questions. I love the fact that, like you're so inquisitive and you have great questions and what you're doing, and like good for you for like doing all of this, like with your life and stuff, and having your 9 to 5, but then like also doing this, like that shows your level of like drive and ambition, and I just think like life just makes me smile. I think life is so fascinating. It's an ever evolving thing. I'm always learning and growing. And, I'm in a really good place and I'm really happy, and it's taken me a long time to get here, and I've dealt with a lot of my own stuff. But, I think I'm just living proof. If I can be happy, everyone else can be happy, and everyone else can have reasons to smile. And I think that's a loaded question, but I think it's I think there's a million things that can make us smile in life. We just have to figure out, we have to appreciate it. We have to recognize it. And we have to be grateful for it.
So beautifully said.
Yeah, thanks.
Where can they find you?
So go on my website. It's theraquelmoore.com, or my Instagram handle is raquelmoore_, and that will also link you to my website. But DM me, send me. I'm always checking my messages on Instagram. But reach out to me, shoot me an email on my website. However you want to get in touch with me, I'm here.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to have this conversation, to get to know who you are, to get to know more about you and everyone else that you have such a positive impact. I truly like Smile Talk. I started this podcast because I wanted to bring on people who help others develop and enhance their self-esteem and confidence. And you are doing that through what you're sharing on social media, through the partnerships that you have through your coaching business, and through just everyday connections that you are making on a daily basis with those that you just so happen to run into.
Yeah.
So continue.
I'm lucky. Thank you.
Continue to be yourself.
I don't know how to be anything other than authentically myself. I'm very raw on my social media. I talk about my journey with my son, just life, struggles. Everyone should always be unapologetically themselves. It is exhausting trying to be anything other than yourself. Learn to love yourself, be the best version of yourself, but be you, because being anything other than you is a complete waste of your time. So I'm honest, I'm raw. Check out my page, and shoot me a message if you just want to talk. I always give people advice and stuff. So message me.